Greetings and welcome to What's Wrong with Wolfie. My name is Jason.
And I'm Rich.
And I'm Chris.
And today is Afterlife, the Aftermath. And at the top of the show, as always, I'd like to give a really big shout out to our supporters, Andrew and Tristan. Thank you so much, guys. You are amazing. And if you would like to do the same as those two, you can do so by joining the Wolfie Club, where you can join a monthly membership or just give a one-off donation to the show. Head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thewolfiepod to see all the options. As you just heard in the title sequence, Afterlife, the Aftermath, what's that all about? Well, we're actually doing a spoiler cast. So, and this one's all about Ghostbusters Afterlife. So if you haven't seen this film, this is your spoiler warning right now. We are going deep into big spoilers. And boy, there are some spoilers to be had from this film. So this is your warning. If you'd like to hear them and you haven't seen the film, then please sit down and join us as we talk all about Ghostbusters Afterlife. But before we do any of that, I have that question to ask. The one on the tip of everyone's tongue. The one that's put everyone on the edge of their seat. It is, of course, what's in your glass, Rich?
Oh, this week I've got, it's from Top Rope Brewing. It's basically a wrestling-themed brewer. And it's...
Sorry, what? A wrestling?
Yeah, all their beers are based on wrestling, either wrestlers or wrestling events. Ooh. Yeah, Top Rope they're called.
Okay.
And I'm drinking a Cold Stone Cream Austin. And it's ice cream pale ale. And it is, lovely. Very, very nice. 4.6%. And it is a IPA, and it is made with vegan ice cream using vanilla, mandarina, Bavaria, and Cascade hops.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got a nice vanilla taste to it. It's beautiful.
And there's no Steve Austin in there, hopefully.
No, I wouldn't know. Say more.
Yeah. Well, that sounds amazing. What rating would you give this little baby?
I'm going to give it a nice sort of 9.1, I think.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It sounds nice.
It's a nice change from a stout as well. This time of year I should be drinking exclusively dark beers, but I'm on an IPA of all things.
Going off rails.
Indeed.
And do they just do like up-to-date wrestlers, or what, do they go back to like our time with like the Bushwhackers or the Undertaker or stuff
it's all
like that?
Classic stuff as well.
Okay.
I'm going on this site now. I'll have a quick look at some of the highlights.
Please.
They've got. Bear with me. There's a mango IPA called Papa Mango, which is genius. Absolutely genius. Probably my favourite name of their beer. Shandy Savage.
The what? The what, sorry?
It's a Shandy Savage.
Shandy Savage.
Pretty good.
I laughed way too much at that, and I should have done.
It's quality.
Brilliant.
There's not much on their side at the moment. I'm actually quite
disappointing.
Surprised.
Well, why don't you give that place where you got that from a plug, and then we shall move on.
Shall. Yep, go to topropebrewing.com. You can find all their store on there and various merchandise. And it's good stuff.
Beautiful. And if anyone's listening from that website, then we are always open for sponsorship. Thank you very much. So, on to the main topic of the podcast, and that's Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this is a 2021, unfortunately, American supernatural comedy film directed by Jason Reitman, who co-wrote the screenplay with Jill Keenan. This film stars Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard. What an amazing surname, by the way, sorry. McKenna Grace, Paul Rudd, Logan Kim, and Celeste O'Connor. Well, with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and Sigourney Weaver as they reprised their roles from the original films.
It's the last one coming.
No one is.
Nobody saw that.
Continue.
It is the sequel to Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, both directed by Reitman's father Ivan, and the fourth film in the Ghostbusters franchise, set 32 years after the events of Ghostbusters 2. A single mother and her two children moved to a small town in Oklahoma where they discover their connection to the Ghostbusters and their grandfather's secret legacy. Let's just start right from the beginning, I think. And what were your feelings sitting in that cinema waiting for the film to start? How worried were you? You know, would you?
I wasn't worried. I was just very fidgety with excitement, and even when we got to like the BBFC rating screen, I was just grinning from ear to ear, and then the Columbia logo hit, and that music kicked in, and I was just big, stupid, dumb grin on my face.
Exactly the same. It's one of those things that you sort of like, you think, oh, they're making a third Ghostbusters. When we're going to see it? COVID hits. You know, oh my god, everything's delayed for like 18 months. You know, Christ. And then you finally get to see it, and you sit there, and you got your popcorn, and you got your drink, and the cinema atmosphere is buzzing. And like Rich said, like the trailer stop, then the screen widens, and then you hear that opening music sting, which is like ethereal to Ghostbusters fans, and you're just like, holy shit, here we go. But it's that weird mid-range of like excitement and also intrigue as to what they've done, and also you are slightly worried that you've been waiting so long for the sequel, let alone the delays due to a pandemic.
Exactly.
And it bloats your expectations.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. And we've had bad experiences with that in the past.
Yep.
Indiana Jones 4. You know, it's you just got to like... And it just paid off really, really well.
Yeah.
Like the first 15 minutes, I was just like, what is happening?
That
what
opening
the hell?
I was so many emotions with that opening, because obviously they did a really good job of that actor they used as a double for Egon.
That was Ivan Reitman.
It was holy shit! It was.
Yep.
That's nice.
That was
nice.
Ivan Reitman playing the double in the opening 10 minutes, and also he was
really
the double
nice.
playing. He was the body double playing Ghost Egon for the mocap stuff for the finale with McKenna Grace. There are beautiful shots on set of him and McKenna Grace standing there, and she's got like the neutrino wand and stuff, and it's just a beautiful little vignette. I think it's on Instagram, and I think it might be on one of their Twitters as well. I've been filming that scene.
But yeah, there's the emotions I had going, because I'm still unpacking the fact that I'm watching like the opening for a new Ghostbusters movie that's like canonical.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what is clearly older Egon, and then you get to the point where you essentially watch his demise.
Yeah.
And which was like really powerful, because as we all know, Howard Ramis isn't with us, so there was it was definitely more powerful because of the fact he's left us, and it didn't sit uncomfortably with me. I'm sure for some people there must be like, oh, sod that, I don't want to watch him die. I was going to say
exactly the same as you, because I went in like fully spoiler free, and the first thing you think of is, right, Howard Ramis has been dead for what, 5, 6, 7 years maybe? I can't remember exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
And you think to yourself, right, here comes the trope. They're going to kill him off screen like a decade ago. And then they're going to run with that. But the massive set of balls that Reitman Sr. and Jason had to not only show us it, but also place it literally a week or two before the events.
Yeah.
That took some bollocks to do.
Yeah.
And do it convincingly and so well at the same time. It was just mind-blowing. It's just...
But you mentioned there, Chris, earlier about, you know, we've had to wait so long, not just for the delays from the COVID pandemic, but the fact that we've had to wait 32 years for this film.
Yeah.
For a true sequel to Ghostbusters 2.
It's a classic case of development hell.
Yeah,
Let's put it mildly.
And it's been mostly because of Bill Murray, probably, hasn't it?
Yeah.
He's been. I think he's not really been that interested in returning, or didn't really like the scripts that were written.
I think it's also because obviously famously him and Harold fell out, and Ghostbusters. I think Ghostbusters caused a massive mental health decline for Bill Murray, if I remember rightly, where he took a break from acting. for like 5 years
Mm-hmm.
and didn't turn up until the late 80s in projects here and there. And it affected him greatly because he went from barely known on sketch comedy to all of a sudden movie star overnight, like what they all did, didn't they?
Mm.
And I think Bill just had that disconnect with it, like for decades. And I was very surprised I managed to get him in the studio to voice everyone's favourite spiritual Ghostbusters 3, the video game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that took some persuading as well, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was a stunning piece of art, that video game.
Yeah.
And
he definitely drifted in and out of giving a shit just in that, though. Like, there's so many lines that were mumbled and, like, I couldn't even hear. I was like, what?
There's even, was it one famous cutscene in that game or one stage of the game where you're in the firehouse and Venkman's asleep on the couch in his office.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, you can feel Bill Murray's negative energy coming straight off that screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bill Murray's just been a bit of a,
Apparently in the early 1990s, following the release of Ghostbusters 2, Dan Aykroyd wrote a script for a third film, tentatively titled Ghostbusters 3 Hellbent. The concept had the characters transported to an alternative universe version of Manhattan called Manhattan, where the people...
Oh, Dan Aykroyd. This is why you needed help from Howard Ramis in the first place.
Drinking way too much Crystal Skull vodka, so...
where the people and places are hellish versions of Earth, with the Ghostbusters meeting and confronting the devil. At the time, Aykroyd stated that the studio was interested, though the principal actors, especially Bill Murray, were not. It featured a new, younger group of Ghostbusters, while Ray, Egon and Winston struggled to keep the business going upon Peter's relationship becoming serious with Dana. Part of this concept was used in Ghostbusters, the video game, which Aykroyd would go on to claim was essentially the third movie. At one point, the new Ghostbusters team were rumoured to be played by... Ready?
Ooh. Hit me with it.
Yeah.
Chris Farley.
Okay, yep.
Chris Rock.
No.
And Ben Stiller.
No.
That's...
No.
You know if we've said this on many casts before, like, when films are lightning in a bottle moments where the chemistry works, and it's, regardless of how bad it can be, the chemistry sells it and makes you buzz. That cast list is the most abrasive chemistry of free comics I've ever heard. You just know that was just not gonna just...
Ben Stiller is the ultimate example of someone that is not as talented as their parents. Like,
no.
He's just,
he's all right in a comedy film, isn't he? But
he doesn't deserve a career. Like,
let's not face it. Look at Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller made King of Queens watchable, just to see Jerry Stiller's crotchety old bastard of a man who lived in the basement.
And Leah Remini, come on now, Chris.
Oh yeah, Leah Remini. Yeah, Kevin James again, like Ben Stiller. I got a lot of respect for him. Started in humble beginning like everyone else, but
it's like King of Queens. That was going on. We're like 5 minutes into this.
It's a nice segue from that to Joe Stiller. But it's
now sing the theme. Arms again, weary.
My back is getting tight.
I don't know the rest.
I'm heading home on the Queensborough Bridge tonight. Fucking show.
But basically, I think what I'm trying to get at is that has this film Afterlife been worth the 32-year wait?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's hard. It feels hard to say why, because that amount of time has passed. There's so many different ways you could have conceptualized it, whether it's in your head or your heart, how it could have been. But I think what it did, how it did it, it didn't try to just be another Ghostbusters film. It was much more, at times more straight-laced, kind of an indie piece. Very, serious at times, touching. It played more on the emotions. It was very, obviously very, very, very reverent, which is everything Ghostbusters is not. So I appreciate it did that, I think it did it in the right way, because I think so much now everything is turned into I find pop culture in general now is just, it's almost like the Funko Pop tourization of pop culture. Like everything now has to play to old fans. It's all about references. It's all about, do you remember? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this film, you could say it's guilty of doing that in places.
They put a lot. They put a lot of like Easter eggs and references and music, and there was a lot of nostalgia power in this film, wasn't there?
Yeah. But you had some really nice small touches as well. You've got the one where, like, Finn Wolfhard, who I cannot remember his character's name. He was
Trevor.
kind of Trevor. He was kind of I think he was the one more forgettable piece in that whole film.
I think it was just such a neutral character and performance. It was like almost two-dimensional. Whereas you look at McKenna Grace and you look at the actor who played Podcast, their chemistry is electric. It comes off that screen.
We need to talk about Podcast.
Yeah. It's just like...
we'll get there.
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard just seemed to get lost in the mix as...
He started a car. That's about all he did in the film.
It's the classic awkward teenager has a crush on someone who's a bit, wayward. And it's just like... Yeah. It works. Yes, you need to sell that on a storytelling level, but... Yeah, just sitting there thinking about it now, I was like, yeah, actually.
But do you think that his kind of like storyline in the film was a little bit rushed? In a way, like, I don't know, like 1 minute he's working at the restaurant trying to get the attention of Lucky, and it seemed like really at the beginning of just trying to get her attention and like, show her that he's got feelings for her or whatever. And then within what feels like 10 minutes, he's in the back of the truck going up to the mine and they're having like a deep conversation.
Yeah, it was like there was like scenes missing. It just kind of felt choppy.
It's one of those things that you sit there after about an hour or so, you think to yourself, I could have edited that out. I reckon the film would have worked so much better if McKenna Grace was an only child.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Do you think like Trevor could be like the person in the middle of the mum and Phoebe?
I think that Trevor was a necessary balance for the family dynamic, but I think ultimately it would have worked so much better if she was an only awkward genius child.
But if she was an only child, who would drive the car?
Well, yeah, you can. I don't know, Jason. I don't know. But I just think, like, as good as Finn Wolfhard was, and as good as it all knitted together, I just think it'd just be more powerful if she was just an only child. That her mum moved her to this middle of nowhere, and then she found out this history from the teacher. But I mean, it was literally set up so you could have this next generation of Ghostbusters team. Yeah. But do you think to have a brother and a sister and a friend and
a couple of friends. But do you think, like, maybe if we get a sequel, which I'm very, which I think will happen, I mean, do you think that maybe they'll use that second film to flesh out Trevor a little bit more? Maybe give him just something more that he was missing from the first film?
I don't know. It's one of those age-old things of something becoming too bloated. As perfect as a film can be, it can become too bloated when you have too many characters and you've only got 2 hours to smash in all of their plot points. It can just become too bloated. And I think the little actor who played Podcast overshadowed Finn Wolfhard so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Logan Kim, and I play Podcast in the new Ghostbusters Afterlife movie.
Why do people call you Podcast? Oh, I call myself Podcast because of my podcast.
I got so into it, I started making my own. This time, I'm upping it a level. Hello, McKenna. I'm doing a podcast thing, and I was wondering if you wanted to participate.
Podcasts don't have cameras.
What is your favorite gadget?
I really like the PKE meter. You know, goes up. Whenever you find a ghost. And then
Zap mode.
It takes
like that. Oh, hello, Celeste. Do you like fighting ghosts?
I do.
Very cool. And that's all the time we have today. Where's Finn? Hey, Finn.
Oh, hey, Logan.
Who do you play in the movie?
I play Trevor. He's really into cars.
That's great. So, have you taken your driver's test?
Twice I failed.
Level down.
This is Logan Kim signing off.
Rated PG-13.
I'm gonna give you driving lessons.
And that kid had no acting experience.
He had potential. He was a potential to be like that one kid we didn't know about going in, and you kind of thought, oh, is he going to be the annoying one? And he was so good.
Yeah.
I just want to say now, because I imagine you guys got this from him straight away. Obviously, he didn't have the connective tissue like Phoebe did to like Egon, but podcast channeled so much Stan's Aykroyd energy. Like, there's the bit when he goes like, "I'll get my stuff," and he runs off to go get his equipment. And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, he even had like the Ray run, that manic, like excited energy. I was like, "No way!"
It's the childlike thing that Dan Aykroyd captured perfectly as Ray. It's the childlike wonder and the energy and excitement over just the simplest of things.
And obviously, he was like the analog. He was the analog for Ray. It was clear they were doing that intentionally.
I mean, they had the goggles on and everything, but didn't he at one point? And but he was the surprise of he was one of the surprises of the film, I think, because like you say, when he was first introduced, I mean, I knew nothing about this character or this actor being in the film. Obviously, he wasn't shown in any of the trailers. So like you say, you're worried that this is going to be the annoying child character of this film, but he within, I don't know, a minute or two, just his like charm and personality and the way that they moulded the character in the film and the way he acted it just proved me wrong to instantly like him. And even in that scene where Phoebe is put on the proton pack and she's takes out the gun to try and shoot the jars. I can't remember what they put out. And then he whips out the microphone.
Yeah.
That's just quite funny, I thought.
But again, it's one of those classic, it's a lampoon as well as it is a clever joke, and also a love letter to people like us and YouTubers and self-made journalists, honest people who do honest reviews on YouTube, not these influence bastards. I'm talking about like literal honest people. Like, I don't know if you guys follow a guy who does Ghostbusters news on YouTube.
Yes.
Guy with glasses, I can never remember his actual name.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. I listened to him recently.
Great content. Like literally like 5-6 minute snippets of video, and that's what I got from the character of podcast, was that we're making a joke, but we're telling you guys, the fans that like blogs and stuff, that do these videos, we love you. But it was just great because he didn't care. He didn't care what everyone at school thought of him for carrying a microphone and a recording and survival gear in his backpack, because he was always out. And didn't I remember he gave himself that nickname as well?
He did, yeah.
And he didn't care about it. It's like, yeah.
I think
so it should be like.
I think one of the other references for podcast and Ray was at the end, wasn't it, when he got covered in marshmallow?
Yeah, almost like it was the marshmallow, but it almost had that kind of vibe of Ray and Janosch as well. Like when they're kind of like palling up at the end, obviously they were like covered in mood slime and
high on positively charged slime.
Yeah, but the excitement they shared because they had a common interest, and obviously Ray turning out to be the one listener he had.
The one subscriber,
It really was. It was so sweet. I'm glad they had that scene because, like I said, it was clear they were trying to channel Ray with podcasts. So it was nice they actually had. I wouldn't surprise if Aykroyd was very much instrumental in probably writing a lot of the stuff for podcasts. He probably did put some, cliff notes in there and
some like uncredited. Influences, because obviously the Reitmans aren't going to say no to Dan Aykroyd, are they? They're going to say, come on.
Yeah.
So, what did we think of McKenna Grace playing Phoebe then?
Absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. Like, absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
I think for a child actor, she held that film perfectly, because the film was obviously it was about her, really.
Yeah.
And her experiences and journey. And she did such a wonderful job of just holding the film together and portraying that character so beautifully. It was one of the other biggest highlights for me coming out of that cinema. And thinking back, and saying that character and that actress But just amazing. Both just great.
Yeah. She did such an amazing job of channeling Harold Ramis, like how Egon as a character had that kind of... He felt kind of at times unapproachable, very impersonal, the way he kind
closed off and cold, even though he wasn't. But
I mean, they kind of touched upon the fact as well, didn't they? They got vibes from that film that there was a degree maybe of autism around her as well, because the way her mum was talking to like Mr. Gruberson about how like the way she is and she doesn't have friends, she doesn't know how to emote or react or communicate with people, and she doesn't know how to get through to her, and I kind of got vibes from that. So it was nice that they... Because it is actually the one scene where they encounter... what's the name of the one ghost now? The one that's this Slimer substitute.
It's like Muncher.
Muncher.
And she even says about how, like... Because podcast says to her about, aren't you scared? And she said about how this is kind of like stimulation for me. I was like, okay, yeah, clearly I was diagnosing her watching that film. It was like, they gave some complexities to her character. And
coming from me, and I think Jason, one of your children are autistic as well, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, coming from someone who has been tested numerous times as a kid, I relate to characters like that, such as Egon in Ghostbusters, and now Phoebe in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and there's only very few films that have got it bang on accurate, and this is one of them. And
Rain Man, of course.
Yeah, and those bus timetables. But it was just so touchingly done. Like you said, Rich, she was channeling Harold Ramis, but she was also her own individual self.
Yeah.
And by the hairpiece they had on her as well, both of the kids really, to sort of show that they're from the same lineage as Harold Ramis. Even they went to that detail. It just plays so beautifully that you can do awkwardness and it can come off awkward. But you can do awkwardness and it comes off beautifully natural. This is what you get with McKenna Grace.
Yeah.
And have you guys watched the B-roll footage at all?
I have not, no.
Yeah, just hit up YouTube and watch the B-roll footage. Mate, that set looks so much fun. It was just so electric from just watching the B-roll footage of them screwing around between takes.
I mean, they had Paul Rudd there as well, so, I can't imagine it was a dull place to be.
Oh.
But, like, you watch a film and everybody's eyes are happy.
Yeah.
You feel that lit from within feeling from all the actors. And you get that from like a happy set, and you get that from everything around them working perfectly well. And I just think McKenna Grace is fantastic, and I'd love to see more deleted scenes from that set. Because obviously, all Ghostbusters fans are still waiting for your art book, me included. There's shots. I think they delayed it for spoiler reasons, apparently.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense these days.
Film's out. Deal with it.
But there's cut scenes where I think with her and Podcast when they first fire up the proton pack and they're making popcorn in the cornfields.
Very good.
Nice.
Have you guys not seen those pictures?
Not at all. No, I don't know anything about that.
Where have you been? Seriously, like there's photos and I think video of them filming this scene where she's got the proton stream. And the corn is popping. The ears of corn are popping in the fields.
Cool. That's cool.
Why did they cut that out? That's my question.
Yeah, but the picture that I saw on Jason Reitman's Instagram, McKenna Grace is having the time of her life filming the scene. She's got a proton pack and there's popcorn flying everywhere. And I'm like, why was that taken out?
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
Instead, we've got them blasting cans. I want to see them make popcorn in a field. It's like, that's an awesome use for a proton pack.
Can we just talk about that scene quickly while we're on that subject? Because I think this was the first part of the film where the proton pack was fired up, wasn't it?
Oh, sound.
And the close-up that they gave that proton pack and like that hearing the click and the sound of it whirring up was amazing. Like just to see that in a 21st century style, it was, and hearing just the sound effects in the cinema was just amazing.
Switch me on. faces poised. Will this be the moment of her death? Nobody knows. Oh my gosh! That is the best thing I've ever seen.
Well, was it? I assume it was the same for you two.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
It's one of those sounds that I saw Ghostbusters 2 in the cinema.
Yeah, same.
No, Ghostbusters 1, wasn't it, Rich? We went to Canterbury one night for its anniversary. Was that 2 or 1? I can't remember.
It was 2. It was 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah.
That's the only time I've heard that on a cinema screen. That sound, that beautiful charge-up sound. that almost rattles your chest.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful sound, and
but I mean, they just gave it a word, didn't they?
Yeah,
of it spinning that I'd never really heard before. It was just amazing.
Again, because like a lot of the things, obviously, in the original films, it's just a cool sound. It's a cool sound.
Yeah.
Whereas now you are giving it, like a lot of things, you're giving it that reverence. You're giving it this real. You're celebrating it. So when it fires up on the screen, you hear it. They are emphasizing the sound it makes because they. Yeah. Again, it is that kind of, it's grabbing you by the hand and it's saying, do you remember what this sounded like the first time? Now you get to hear it again. It's just, we're so weak and pathetic, but goddamn, I was just tears in my eyes during that scene. I was so happy.
I'm going to give everyone a trigger warning right now. This is a tangent mic warning.
Tangent warning.
Right.
That's what it.
Yeah.
I've avoided lots of YouTube videos from people in the special effects industry because they've when it was released in the US, obviously their videos were then uploaded because obviously they can because it's not a secret anymore. The way they recreated the props, they scanned and cast all the original proton packs. For Egon's one, they modified it as if Egon had been tinkering away with it for the past 20 odd years. So Egon's pack had additional bits added, and they made it modular for the film. And Hasbro's luxury deluxe pack, I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures of it.
Some pictures, yeah.
Yeah. The Hasbro's very expensive proton pack and new wand is made from Egon's prop pack. Nice. And the prop pack that you see on Egon's workbench in the basement, that she pulls apart, is replicated in Hasbro's proton pack, including the insides.
Ooh, that's cool.
Right? Now, this is where it gets even better. The insides were made fully mechanical, so McKenna Grace could actually physically interact with these moving parts of this proton pack. They made it look as physically possible if it was to exist. They also put rotating weighted cam motors in the pack and the wand.
Again, it's just
so the actors could stand there, and I'm all for physical props, but when you have a fully immersive prop that your actor can feel and interact with, it makes the audience believe it because it's happening, and their face is emoting the feeling because this stuff is really vibrating on their back and in their hands.
Yeah.
So these rotating servos with these weighted cams on it and weights are vibrating their hands and their back. So they're literally fighting against a real physical force on set. Mate, it's just insane. Absolutely insane.
But that's what makes the film different to a CGI, plastic prop.
Toy commercial, yeah.
kind of film. When you have the budget, I guess, and you have the time and the wanting to put that effort in, you get rewards out of it.
Yeah. It's like the remote control trap. That could have been CG'd. In fact, most of it was CG, but that prop actually exists and was controlled off-set by one of the prop people. It was a real thing.
Yeah, and it's more appreciated.
They had 2 or 3 different versions that they could have show the doors opening, and it's just like, what the hell? The PKE meter that you see pimped up with like a taser. Now, you've heard me talk about Adam Savage before. If anyone's seen Mythbusters, you'd know who I'm talking about. He has been friends with Jason Reitman for about 30 years, 25 years, since Jason was quite young and doing independent films. Adam Savage started in the film industry. He then went on to Mythbusters. He made the Incan... Is it Incan or Death Whistles? You know the skull whistle that podcast goes into?
Oh, yeah. It was like a Mayan death whistle or something.
Mayan death whistle, that was it.
Yeah.
Adam Savage made those with one of his Mythbusters Junior girls in his shop studio. He designed them, cast them, weathered them, numbered them, packed them, and delivered them to the set. And he's been reviewing toys and he's been looking at props. He visited the set of Afterlife. And these are all coming out now, actually. He's releasing all these videos. When he went to the location and they got Egon's farmhouse and barn, everything built on set. And he's there walking around the set. Guys, you need to look that stuff up and just watch that walkthrough. He walks through with Jason Reitman and the production crew to the back trailers to look at makeup and the props department. He walks around the house upstairs. Oh, mate, it's just watch those videos. It's a real intimate insight into those props being physical. Again, with the Terror Dogs being physical. They perfectly balance CG and practical. That's what works.
Yeah.
Not full CG. It felt so real because most of it was.
Yeah, and then they reaped the benefits from it.
Yeah.
As we've talked about some of the cast, we might as well finish the last couple, I guess. Kerry Coon playing Kelly. She did a good job. You know?
Yeah, I got more from her than I actually expected. I thought she was just going to be kind of like the mum in the background, but she had some real funny lines in it.
Yeah.
I'll absolutely give her due. I think, she was...
Yeah, I mean, I think she played the character well. You know, like you could see the resentment that she had for her dad.
That was kind of hard, I will admit, and I think that's a theme that I know Chris will touch upon more as well. I didn't kind of like, you feel quite protective of Egon Spengler as a character and Harold Ramis by association, and it felt like it was harshing on him a bit. And I know it's not the film dunking on him, it's the characters that within it. But
it's one of those narrative decisions that you just like, okay, I understand, Egon's kind of can be cold unintentionally and distant unintentionally, but it got so abrasive and repetitive throughout this 2-hour runtime of this film that every time it was brought up, I found myself just rolling my eyes and just going, mention it once or twice. And then when Ray said Egon Spengler can write in hell, I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Jason, what are you doing, Jason? What are you doing? You could have gone about this in so much better way.
So do you think this is one of the biggest negatives of the film then? The way that they touched upon that subject?
Not so much a negative, but it could have been handled a little bit tactfully more, maybe.
Because the way they kind of just did that, like the whole scene with Ray in the bookshop, the whole like exposition dump they did. And it was just like, because they kind of folded the whole resentment thing into that, it just felt like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. They hate him. It lacked that tact. It didn't feel nuanced. It just felt like, I don't know. It was just jarring.
They could have done it in such a more tasteful way, because it wasn't that, like Rich said, they weren't going out to tarnish Harold's memory or legacy.
No, I mean that was clear by the ending of the film, wasn't it? You know,
but by using his descent into madness, you could say, saying about the end of the world, Old Testament type stuff, and then taking all the equipment and running to where the Shandor Mining Co. is, where they're obviously tapping into this interdimensional rift. I do get it, but there are so many ways you can go about it without pissing off thousands and millions of fans by telling the audience, by telling the audience that Egon Spengler was an arse and ran away with everything. But then when you see the payoff at the end, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when it became like every 10 minutes someone is bad-mouthing this person, you're like, it's enough now, guys. I found myself getting cold against the actress who played Phoebe's mum, Egon's daughter, because I was just like, every line that came out of her mouth, every other scene was about how shit Egon was as a dad and how absent he was. And I'm just like, no, just sit there, it's like, that's it, it's fine. Mention it once or twice and then move on.
But things like she's had this hang up with him for years upon years, and it's obviously something that she's not been able to let go, apparently, because she likes to bring it up in conversation.
And can I just say, we need more Annie Potts, please.
That was done really nicely.
Where are those deleted scenes, apart from the post-credits scene?
That was really, really nice how they did that, how like she was kind of like, the conservator of like his estate, what he had left.
Taking everything and just looking after him and his stuff, basically.
Because that was something Janine would do. Obviously, her and Egon had, a
chemistry.
bond.
Yeah.
Obviously, they kind of got yeeted in Ghostbusters 2, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that. Still, I resent Ivan Reitman for that. I'm sorry, but love Lewis, but nah, I ship Egon and Janine. So
I think that whole Lewis and Janine thing was that trope of let's get the two weirdos together.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, don't get me wrong. You watched Ghostbusters 1. Janine is a human character.
Yeah,
right?
She turns into the cartoon.
I'm sorry, but Richard just said exactly what my brain was thinking. You go from Ghostbusters 1, where she's this strong, independent, cut through the shit New Yorker, basically. And then in the next film, she is literally the embodiment of the cartoon version of Janine. It makes no sense. None whatsoever. And in this, she's back to the humanitarian kind of nice, mothering, deeply madly in love with Egon, but would never admit it. And it's kind of nice. In fact, I kind of hoped in some point in this film that the mother of the daughter of Egon would be her and Egon's daughter.
Yeah.
Because when the trailers came out, I was like, what are they doing here? I don't quite understand how they're going about this. But I suppose that would have been too obvious, wouldn't it?
And it's the whole thing about you don't want to make the universe too small. I like it. That is just this nameless, faceless woman that he shagged. If it wasn't the toaster or the pot of mood slime, then
it's always the quiet one.
Yeah, always
Egon,
the quiet
you hound.
You hound. You aren't sleeping with it, are you, Ray?
Oh dear. And a quick talk on Paul Rudd. He was Paul Rudd, I guess, wasn't he? So
handsome, funny.
Yeah.
Love Paul Rudd. Always got time for Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Honest,
he did a great job in this film before what he was there for.
Exactly. I kind of in my heart of hearts, I don't know if he wanted it. I did kind of want him to suit up. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's bound to be some B-roll footage of him in the suit and a proton pack. There has to be.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point in that filming, he put on a suit and a proton pack.
When he had the trap, and he rolled the trap, he goes, I always wanted to do this. I was like, my heart sang. My heart sang out of it because it was so genuine. It was so genuine.
I did love how he put on the dog horror film in the school so he could go back into his back room.
Was it Cujo? Was it?
Yeah, that's right. And then Chucky on the second time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good teacher.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that was definitely part of the curriculum.
Keep the crappy village kids, occupied while he does some real science in the back, that kind of thing.
I love that scene he shared with Phoebe as well, when he kind of realises she's kind of like his equal, like she's smart as hell, and that was nice, their first proper interaction. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously one of his biggest scenes in the film was the one in Walmart, where the mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men came to life.
Yeah.
Do we feel that this scene was a nice touch in the film? Do you think it was just tacked on just to get the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in?
It was kind of both.
I mean, it was funny.
It's the whole...
I like the attention to detail that they put into the Marshmallow Men, and you could see all different kind of facial expressions, and they seem to be having fun. They're getting stabbed by a cocktail umbrella.
I think that was a bit cartoony for my liking.
Yeah.
Because if you take the seriousness of the first film was kind of taken really seriously, but with a really absurd veneer, because goes to the Destructor takes a form of anything. And narrative-wise, yes, it might work from a visual point where it manifests and goes to the nearest thing it remembers, which is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So that's the nearest Walmart, basically, the nearest packet of Stay Puft.
Mm.
But that doesn't make any sense because that's just matter. That to an interdimensional being, surely that wouldn't make any sense. You could manifest anywhere as anything at any time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why go to a Walmart and seek out a pack of Stay Puft Marshmallow Men just because Stay Puft Marshmallows just because you were once manifested as 100-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
Maybe it's obviously it's nostalgic as well.
Yeah,
you know? Just
it's both. Yeah. It's one of those really difficult things that you're like, I see what you were doing there, but okay.
I just meant Gozer is nostalgic. You know, it's just like she's got a case of the member berries as well. You know.
Yeah. Can I just say what a performance from Olivia Wilde?
Yeah, she did really well, didn't she?
Was that Olivia Wilde?
Mate, did you not know that?
No way. I have a massive crush on her as well. Holy shit.
What the hell? Where have you been?
Gozer.
Where have you been?
What?
What rock have you been under? Olivia Wilde played 2021's version of Gozer.
Don't make me fancy Gozer. I can see it now.
It's been all over the press material, even behind the scenes stuff with her in makeup and costume.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can see it now. I can see the old jaw.
Dear God.
Damn.
We're just learning lots of stuff this evening.
I was going to spam our group chat full of stuff.
Yeah,
Please carry on.
She was fantastic. I lost my shit when Gozer appeared. I was like, oh yeah, this has gone full fucking crazy now. I love it. I'm here for it.
I lost my shit when you just hear, Bill Murray shout, "Hey, Flat Top." I was just like, yes! Woo! I think the whole cinema, you can feel jolt forward as everyone just went, what? This is a scene? Finally! We went 2 hours.
It's just the whole, are you a god? And there's that pause.
They just egg him on, don't they?
Ray.
You know this one, Ray.
Yeah. You know what to say, Ray. You know what to say.
I know we're skipping ahead now, but shit, man. Oh man.
We might as well talk about the veterans as part of the cast. It was for me, I was quite annoyed because I managed to get to the day that I was going to go and see the film, and I clicked on an article, and then I saw the three of them in their suits.
God's sake.
And I was like, shit, I've just fucking spoiled it on the day that I'm actually going to see it, and I have managed to avoid every single spoiler about the film beforehand, so I was a bit pissed off about that. So when they did finally show up in the film, it was still a moment. But I think obviously seeing that took the shine off it a little bit. I after the cinema, I did think about you and Chris actually, and thinking like, oh my God, you must have been bursting to just say something about this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ray, and the other guys, they turn up to help defeat Gozer. And they're pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They step back into their characters like they've never been away.
Mm.
I don't think Aykroyd ever left his character. The guy lives Ghostbusters every day. But yeah, I thought Bill Murray, he wasn't phoning it in. You could tell he was having fun with it.
I mean, I must say, how fucking good does Ernie Hudson look?
It's like,
fucking hell, he still looks about 45.
Years. Yeah.
I never know if this is controversial saying, but I always say, black don't crack, it's just, the guy looks fantastic, man. The guys always look fantastic.
He stayed in shape.
It's just,
I know, but he still looks so young. He must be in his 70s, surely, but...
And I'm kind of loving now they are making him like the Tony Stark of it all.
Yeah.
I'm going to get ahead again now, but he's the financier. He's
that reveal at the end. I was just like, what?
Yeah, we'll get to the post-credit scenes a bit later.
We'll do that last, because Jason Reitman, just hands down, mate, you need a round of applause for that double bluff.
Sure.
Beautiful genius, you.
But yeah, the way they showed up, I mean, I guess it felt kind of a bit like, oh, there they are. Yeah. It was kind of weird. I didn't know if I was completely happy with the way they just showed up, but at the same time, you want it to be just sudden, because if you're going to document them on screen, Ray calling Peter, Ray calling, Winston, and then they're getting in a car and driving up to fucking
it's just,
where the fuck it was, Nebraska, wherever.
It just slows the film way too much.
You've destroyed the whole moment of.
Yeah,
oh my
you
God,
do you do the whole James Bond fast travel trick.
Yeah.
Oh, he's there. Okay, your brain can fill in the gaps. You don't need to know.
We had that scene earlier in the film where Phoebe had called Ray from prison.
Yeah.
So we'd already had that kind of connection to Ray. So in some ways, because we'd had that connection between the two characters, them turning up near the near the end, kind of made sense, didn't it? But like you say, it was still like, oh, that was quite good timing, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to sound really, really weird. I would have kind of liked them to turn up at Egon's house and help the kids put all the stuff together to go out and fight this thing.
Yeah.
Being the physicists and scientists that they actually are. But I think the payoff is better at the end when they're just the 11th hour heroes.
Mm.
And I liked as well they didn't take the shine off
No.
Phoebe. They didn't say Phoebe. It was her. She kind of led it. I mean, she helped them to defeat Gozo. It was just they could have just come in and just kind of steamrolled everything they'd done with the kids. They didn't. Phoebe was still front and center, and they didn't take away from her. They didn't detract. Oh well, we're gonna get nostalgia in now. So sod it to the new team. The new faces. It was. I appreciate that. So
it was just one of those things that I was like. So they almost have somehow got together to get their stuff from wherever their stuff was to suit up.
Yeah.
And get out there, like Rich said, to the middle of fucking nowhere.
I bet it took three old guys quite a while to get that proton pack.
To get that proton pack and those harnesses on, yeah. It's just like, whoa. It was just that moment where Winston's standing there on our immediate left or right, and he doesn't see who's next to him. And then Ray happens to look over, and it's great. He nudges Peter, and Peter's like, what? And Ray nods, and he looks left. And then Peter nudges Winston, and Winston's like, what? And they all look left, while still holding this proton beam. And then they're just kind of like, okay. And then they just turn back around again, and they carry on. It's beautifully shot because it's just so masterfully done. Because we're like, okay, yeah, that's a thing. We're expecting that, and they even call it out. We wondered when you'd show up. It's beautifully done.
I will confess now, that scene, I fucking sobbed.
Yeah,
yeah.
I couldn't help it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Sobbed.
Well, I mean, you must consider the fact that we haven't seen these characters in over in 32 years. The last time we saw these characters was in Ghostbusters 2, like in live action film.
Yeah.
And here they are. They're back in a new in a new scene. That they've got new lines. And they're there, and it's kind of just a speechless moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it didn't need any words, and that's what I thought was lovely, that they didn't throw any words in until, I think, which one of them said, was it, I wondered when you'd show up. And then it's revealed, obviously, he's been there all along, because at the very start of the film, the PKE meter starts to go off when Egon's obviously dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the PKE meter comes to life, and it's telling the audience that Egon's not quite dead.
I did
that
really
lovely
love...
scene peppered through.
Oh, when he's moving stuff.
Playing the chess and moving lamps to show people.
Yeah, that was lovely. It was,
the ghostly breadcrumbs.
Yeah, that felt kind of... It was a really nice old school touch. You were saying you'd expect it in an older film. And like an older family film. And it had so much heart. So I didn't feel... It wasn't played in a weird, aloof, comical way. It was...
No.
It was done very sweet. And, yeah... Even down to with his daughter as well, when he points the lamp at all the pictures of her, I was like, Jesus.
He was there, but he wasn't at the same time. Yeah.
Oh fuck. But yeah, I mean, when we got to the reveal of Egon, I know I kind of mentioned this to Chris in our little private WhatsApp chat we had. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Jason, but you hadn't seen it.
No,
so
that's fine, mate.
You weren't invited.
I appreciate it. It's fine. Even though I spoiled it for myself, it was fine in the end. So.
Yeah. But that reveal when Phoebe's thrown the stream and his hand appears to steady her.
To steady it, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, because no one saw it coming.
No.
I didn't see it coming at all. I deliberately muted hashtags and certain Instagram and Twitter accounts. And like you said, Rich, like all of a sudden this kind of blue glow Force Ghost hand comes down and I'm like, well, what? We're actually going to see Egon? And I was like, oh, fuck, we are. Oh, my God.
He's kind of like crouched.
What the hell?
He's kind of like crouched squad beside her as well, like someone would if they're like teaching a kid to catch a ball or something. It was just like, oh my god, I'm crying so much. Oh my god!
And I think it was really nice when he turned up that he didn't talk.
Oh, that was. I said that again in Rich's little WhatsApp chat. It was one of those things that skipped over the uncanny valley, where your brain tells you. That ain't right, even though it looks photo-real. Mm-hmm. Your brain's like, that ain't real. Now, it's the same mistake they made with Rogue One. Right?
No,
right. You got this film, which is beautifully done. You have, working as a body double, you have, I think, Ivan Reitman and another stunt performer as Ghost Egon on physically on set. By having him not say a word... you don't have to sound a lookalike or get an AI to form words and voice. And also having him appear as a ghost rather than an actual full-body physical person, that's where it works beautifully. Because you know it's not real. You know it's a ghost. Your brain tells you that it doesn't quite look like Egon because it shouldn't, because it's his ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas when they did Rogue One... Yes, show us your technology, but I've seen edits of Rogue One scenes where Tarkin works perfectly well and so much better in reflections and over-the-shoulder shots.
Yeah.
Where you do not see his full face. Because there are limitations to that technology.
Yeah.
And this film used those limitations and used them masterfully.
Agreed.
Just hands down, just fantastic.
And I'll just say one more last thing about the scene that we're talking about, because just a couple of other bits about the film that I want us to talk about as well, is I really appreciate the way that they'd touched up the proton beam itself, like when it was wrapped around Muncher or around Gozer, and you could see like where they were actually, especially Gozer, where she was like, you could see she was grabbing hold of the proton beam.
And using it as like chain,
and trying to free herself from it, which obviously they couldn't do back in the 80s. And I just really appreciated those little touches.
It kind of adds a more physicality to those proton strips.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just energy, it's an energy you can manipulate, and also, like you said, Jason, you can always use as bungee cords and ratchet tie downs. It's what to grab onto and literally pull. And that's kind of what they did in the real Ghostbusters cartoon. They kind of, I think that was when it was established that that's what they could do with them, like fishing rods almost.
Yeah.
And by her using that to her advantage was a fantastic little touch.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. But let's just rewind ourselves back to a bit further into the film, and I want us to just have a discussion about the first like big action scene that we saw in the film, where they're obviously going after the Muncher and they're just carving through the town. And they Phoebe went out in the gunner seat from the car, and we saw the mobile trap come out for the first time and all that kind of stuff.
Can you stop breathing in my ear?
No.
Guys, this is kind of stupid. Are you sure you didn't see like a raccoon or like a possum?
There!
Is that a
free floating metal muncher? Definitely class 5.
Okay, what do we do?
Let's get him.
What?
Let me get a photo first. has a gunner seat?
I mean, there's that making the gunner seat canon was just a nice little touch.
Yeah,
and the mechanics of that were beautiful.
That came from the cartoon, didn't it?
I think that was Extreme Ghostbusters, wasn't it?
Was it?
That gunner seat?
I thought the gunner seat just originated from the toy. I think it's from the toy. Like from the real Ghostbusters toy. It was never in the show.
It was on the roof of the toy.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
It was on the
roof.
roof.
The way it popped out, at least, it was...
Yeah.
I did like that because when I saw it, and it's nice to still have a kind of connection to Ghostbusters and not just like have this, well, what should we do with the car that's something different? Just to tack it on.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Speaking of tacking on, this is it's not a tangent, but it's more of a, because I've been taking on lots of behind the scenes stuff recently. There was lots of talk that Ghostbusters 2 would be ignored as canon. And
I'm glad I didn't do that.
No,
they didn't.
Silly.
The film's fine.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. Yes,
more than fine.
Yeah, and all these fans are, butthurt people, but it's just an enjoyable film. Enjoy it for what it is, and people are saying like, oh, they're gonna, Jason's disregarding Ghostbusters 2 as canon, and Ecto 1 hasn't got the right license plate or the right design, and you think to yourself. And it's the same as like I was talking about in our last recording about Star Trek fans trying to fit rooms inside a ship that doesn't even exist. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, who, and it's just the same kind of people for Ghostbusters fans now. Whoever's listening, don't take this the wrong way. We love you all. We are you. But Ghostbusters 2 takes place in 89, 90, depending on where you want to put that film in your own personal canon.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the stuff that's on top of Ecto 1? What if they decided after a couple of years when they're back in business and all's going well, do you know what? Let's take all that tacky crap off. We don't need it. Let's put our old logos back and our old equipment back. Okay. That's explained. Done.
Yep.
You haven't got to try and retcon out why things look different. And it's just, guys, get over yourselves. They're using their old boiler suits. So what? They're not using the grey ones from Ghostbusters 2. They probably have loads of different variant uniforms. For the love of God, stop it!
Life's too short. Life is too short.
People make me.
But back to that scene. I really liked Muncher. I thought it was a really cool kind of ghost. And seeing him repel the metal that he was eating into like a gun was pretty cool.
That had a kind of real Ghostbusters vibe to it. Really
I was going to say
larger than life kind of. Like he was a toy. Like you were going to press the back of him, he's going to spit projectiles out. I was like, I found this.
Did you catch that Easter egg? I saw it straight away. One of the ghosts that comes out. Yeah, it comes out of one of the storefront windows, and its eyeball follows it and goes back into its socket.
Yeah,
that's a real Ghostbusters toy.
Yep.
They made Ghostbusters toys real and put them in this third film. It's insane.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Like, you look at the production, look at the artwork they've released since the book's been out, and they've kind of realised real Ghostbusters, ghosts from Extreme Ghostbusters and real Ghostbusters as concept art for this film. But a lot of it didn't make it into the final cut. But yeah, the ghost had so much fun factor.
I did love the miner as well, but a nod to the taxi driver.
I forgot about the miner sitting in a diner. Oh my god! And he just looks around with his like cap on and stuff like that. It's just a skeletal miner. I was like, that's a beautiful little callback. Yeah. And that was physical puppet, I believe, as well.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
At least the majority of it was physical.
Yeah.
Because it's
But I really enjoyed seeing Phoebe trying to actually just get control of this photon beam and try and get this muncher, and the elation of them catching it in the end was really just really fun, good part of the film.
I've seen a lot of people, a lot of chatter say, "Oh, these kids figured all this stuff out well quick," and you're like,
really?
Not really, no, and yeah. So that Egon's granddaughter just happens to be a gifted natural scientist. So the kids kids can figure stuff out. You don't need instruction manuals.
They're pretty quick.
No.
And also, if you see a nuclear reactor pack and a gun, and you see the YouTube videos, the archive videos, it's literally a matter of point and click and see what happens. That's, funnily enough, just how the Ghostbusters did it in the first film. They figured it out as one along. So I don't understand. I don't understand why these people are like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. That was like, well, how long do you want this film to be? Just enjoy it for what it is. You got your third Ghostbusters movie, and you bastards are still not fucking happy.
So people are never happy, Chris.
Phoebe's such a Mary Sue, you know. Just
Well, I just wanted to discuss just one other thing before we move on to the post-credit scenes and anything else that you might want to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that is about them bringing Gozer back as the main antagonist of the film. I mean, but obviously nostalgia power here again with bringing her back. But do you think they could have done something different, or do you think this was the right move?
I mean, it makes
safety net.
You can make the argument, oh, it's a redo, but it makes sense because it's meant to be this ritualistic thing that happens every how many years. Of course, it's going to follow a similar pattern. It's going to be the same things that are going to fall into place. You're going to have the Keymaster, the Gatekeeper. It's not just a case of, it's not like, The Force Awakens where it's just like, hey, look, it's fucking A New Hope again.
Yeah, it's a shot-for-shot remake, but we're going to dress it. It's going to have a bit of window dressing and...
Yeah, this makes sense within the narrative that it should be to some degree a redo. So I got no problem with it. I was losing my shit seeing Ivan Shandor fucking JJ Simmons.
Oh, JJ Simmons Ivan Shandor. That was just like...
And seeing like the temple, like, oh my god, and Pterodox. It was...
Yeah, the Shandor mine, I've got to say, what a set that is.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of it was digital or not, but the way Egon had rigged those proton packs up as a safety net,
that's pretty
cool. That was awesome.
Yeah. I love seeing garage tech done well. Back to the Future did it amazingly well. Ghostbusters did it amazingly well the year before, using what they had, what they could buy from Radio Shack or aircraft graveyards. But they knew how to use that equipment to make this new equipment. By seeing it all jerry-rigged like that was amazing. And there's grain silos on the farm turned into massive capacitors to run the hundreds of ghost traps under the dirt.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's like, oh my god. That was just brilliant.
It was just good to see some new ideas, wasn't it, with the old tech?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a genius touch with safety net. I really like it.
Bringing Gozer back, no problem. If you do it well.
Yeah. And
you can do things badly, or you can, like Rich said, do a rehash or a redo and really hit those beats properly. But also, I think Egon had, or they all four of them probably had a connection to Gozer because they fought it off.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it's not a she or a him or an it, it's an interdimensional being. And it's just like, naturally, Egon would have this fascination with Tobin's spirit guide and the Shandor mines and ask the question, why was Ivor Shandor doing this stuff? What was his reasons? And by doing that, they've deepened that myth and lore of these films. By having an off-the-cuff comment of some random guy building this apartment block and going deeper down that rabbit hole and really fleshing out the background as to why and where and how and going back there in this film was great by having Egon run there and try and protect the world from this hub of whatever Ivor Shandor's trying to get into this thing. And yes, Ivor Shandor was still alive. And how old was that guy?
I know, right? He did really well.
They're good.
In this glass coffin casket. And I didn't expect him to move, and I was just like, whoa. And I didn't find out until after the film that J.K. Simmons was...
I was saying about Ernie Hudson looking good for his age. But,
yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And can we just please talk about Egon's ranch farmhouse?
Sure.
Guys, seriously, what a set design.
Sure, yeah, they packed a lot into that set, especially like his little lab and with the fire hose, like the fire pole to get down into the basement area.
The hidden basement under the barn.
Yeah,
I just love the entry to it when you've got the whole speech between Ray and Winston as you go in, like the warning.
Yeah,
it's the whole speech about what's the wording now.
Yeah,
it's when they're in Ecto in the first film. It just
I talk about God's style and stuff like that, and is that what you're talking about?
It's oh god, I've gone
it's
blank.
It's the third something or other, isn't it?
Shit.
I know what you're talking about, Rich, and I can't. My brain is doing the same thing that yours is right now. Just can't quite get to it. But
okay, this is where they talk about religion.
Talk about the plagues.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. I know the scene you're talking about, but I can't for the life of me think of the words of it.
No, but yeah, they put it on the signs at the entrance to the farm, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and it's just
I did quite like the little secret lab because they had all the spores and stuff that Egon would be enjoyed mucking around with and stuff like that.
I mean, it's part of the whole research. Egon was a scientist through and through, and he finally found his true calling outside of that university.
Let's not forget the
and then
thing, the Crunch Bar wrapper in his
yes, yes,
yeah,
amazing little thing.
Was it the Crunch Bar wrapper that
it might
Peter gave him outside the library? I doubt it, but I like to think
like,
that's when he started his love of Crunch Bars, and then he bought one like that week before he died.
Yeah, but that's that like lovely little background nugget of information where if you don't listen to the commentaries on the DVDs or whatever, Egon's original character had this thing for candy. It was his weakness.
Yeah.
It was his weakness to have sweet things because he'd never had it as a kid because his parents, I get the feeling, were kind of cold, logical kind of parents, forcing their child into sciences and stuff. So that was his little vice, was having these sweets and snacks, which is why the firehouse and the containment unit basement and even Egon's house is littered with packed boxes of Cheez-Its and Ritz crackers and Twinkie bars, and it's just a lovely little touch. People have gone frame by frame on the digital copies of the film and picked out the set design. It's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
They light the set down in that basement so beautifully, where it's a classic Hollywood trick where you've got a small enclosed set, but how do you make it look bigger and more mysterious? You underlight it, so you can't see what's behind some of the machinery. It's just darkness. And it almost adds to this almost bigger on the inside void of a space that you could just disappear into. But Egon's workbench is just stunning.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of stuff on that the attention to detail is insane. And like I said, if I send you links later, Jason, for Adam Savage's set walkthrough, and they rebuilt this farmhouse on a soundstage.
That's crazy.
They built the one on location from scratch and then rebuilt it on a soundstage.
That's amazing.
The interior matched.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if you guys, you've probably read the Back to the Future book, haven't you, Jason?
Yes.
Where they talk about, and also on the features of Back to the Future, where they talk about how optical effects were done by having one actor play multiple roles in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, that effect is old school, but Christ, does that hold up in Back to the Future Part 2? Better than any CG will get. But the point I'm getting to is, on the set, it was a locked set. No one could go in and move anything. Because the blocks they were filming in were taking place minutes or seconds apart from one another. But in reality, they were being filmed weeks or days apart from one another. So nothing could be moved in the set. And that was how they did the Back to the Future thing. The optical effect was just, don't move anything.
Yeah.
And the symmetrical, the book stacked in the corner.
Yeah.
That was a lovely little touch.
The reference to the library, wasn't it, in the first Ghostbusters?
And it's just such a beautiful set, and you can probably look for days and days and days at that set and not feel bored.
But what would you give your right arm, wouldn't you, to get a tour around that set?
Oh, if I could work on one of those productions, I've said before, one of my dreams was to always work in special effects, and I've never been able to do it. But if I could work on a film like that, I'd die a very, very happy man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just, it's stunning.
Yeah.
Every minute of it.
So let's have a quick chat about the post-credit scenes. Time we're nearly up, I guess. So let's with the post-credit scenes. I knew they were there. I knew there was 2 of them. But I didn't know. I managed to escape the spoilers for these post-credit scenes, and so I was sitting in the cinema with my son. I took him to watch it as well, and we're waiting for the credits to finish so we could get to the first mid-credit scene. And then the word Sigourney Weaver came up. And I was like, what? Where was she in the film?
Yeah.
And then obviously though her name came up, and then like a few seconds later it cut to this first post-credit scene. And I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was exactly the same reaction from you two.
Also has aged. We all know she has, but also has aged brilliantly.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Just
be amazing. But I mean, what an amazing scene to think of, and to actually get done. It was just brilliant, wasn't it? Just to see those 2 and how they are. And you can see the wedding ring on her finger.
Yeah.
Aww.
And it was just lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell Bill Murray, you got that warmth from him. He was into it. He had energy. He was having fun, which is always nice to see with Bill. That was a lovely scene, a lovely callback, and it was,
yeah.
I just if anyone from the production is listening to this podcast, just high five to the editors and Jason Wyman for having the balls and the idea to do that jump cut from the credits.
Yeah.
Because I did not see it coming.
No.
I sat there and it said with, the old guys, and it said, and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
What? And then snap cut. It was literally just like, boom.
Yep.
There she is on screen, like, what?
Yep.
Okay, we've got
what the fuck is happening right now?
An ESP kind of card game thing going on. And I was I was literally numb. I was just like, that happened?
And then it was like he was getting them all right, and like she was going, like, you've marked these cards, haven't you?
Yes.
just like Peter Wood,
It was that knowing nod. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was just master feat. That's how you do a jump cut and you surprise millions of fans.
And and I think I was still buzzing a little bit from the right at the end of the main film, where they showed the Ecto One driving to New York, and then the Ghostbusters logo came up animated, and then they kicked into the Ghostbusters song.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell, this is great. What a great way to end the film, perfectly set up for a sequel, and and then they threw this scene at me as well, and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Well done, kudos guys. And then they threw this last scene at the end of the credits, and yet again, you've said that Jason and the producers and everyone else had balls to do a few things in this film, and I think they had big balls to do this as well, to go back and use the deleted scene.
Oh, that was beautiful.
I really appreciate that. I remember hearing about that scene a long time ago, and wonderful.
And to set something up from that deleted scene was just great. It's just amazing.
Again, it's deepening that lore and history, making it richer by just adding more stuff to the roots of what we have. It's just a great idea to do that.
Yeah. And as Rich mentioned earlier, turning Winston into like the Tony Stark of the Ghostbusters world.
That was
He deserves, goddammit, because he's the he's the red-headed stepchild of Ghostbusters. He was always my favourite in the real Ghostbusters, and
he doesn't just work with these guys anymore. He is those guys.
Yeah,
and that was beautifully done. Because I remember saying to Rich, and I said to a few people that I know as well, the way it's set up, where Ray says, the old firehouse is a Starbucks now.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that doesn't make sense, and part of it makes a hell of a lot of sense that say Winston would say, "Oh, it's a Starbucks now," but in reality, he's kept it all these years as part of an investment with the help of Janine Malnitz.
Yep.
That was just completely what. It's beautiful seeing those two together in his office. It was just so nicely done.
Yeah.
It was just nice to see Annie again, wasn't it? Because like she was right at the beginning of the film, and I was like, oh well, that's that then. And
that's what I thought. 30 seconds, not even that. It's like,
when he redoes the I got the tools and the talent line as well, and then says about how I'm the sex appeal. I was like, yeah, boy, you are. Damn right, Annie. Damn right, you are. Like, it's so good, so good.
Yeah. So overall, you know, when you look back at the whole film, I mean, I think some parts were rushed. I think the end was rushed a little bit, maybe. I don't know. When I walked out, I felt like maybe the end was a little bit rushed. But I mean, in overall, they did a bloody fantastic job, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we couldn't really have asked for anything more.
For me, it's comfortably my favourite of the sequels. I prefer the Ghostbusters 2, which is a tall order because I've got certain memories of that film being my first cinema experience, so I should have a degree of bias. But to me, this is like the best sequel. It's they did a cracking job,
and they've done a really good job of like setting up sequels.
Yeah,
to a new world of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, please do that. Please.
And that was the other sort of segue. Is like the Ghostbusters firehouse. When I heard in the film that it was a Starbucks, and I was like, oh no. And then you find out, no, it isn't. And then you see Ecto-1 pull in and Winston kisses the hood of it. And you're like, whoa, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. And
it sets up everything because you now know that they have the firehouse.
Yeah. And there was a red light at the end as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And the containment unit just starts beeping. And you're just like, whoa, hang on a minute. The containment unit is still active? Winston's been keeping this shit running? And it just frees the universe up to do anything.
Yeah.
Just to carry on. They've still got the Ecto, they've still got the firehouse.
They've got the proton packs. You know.
Yeah. It's just...
and they've got Phoebe to improve the technology to a modern era.
And by the time, if we ever do get a sequel, she's going to be in her 20s by the time that comes around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she's 15, isn't she?
She's 15, yeah. So she'll age up nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll be fantastic, yeah. Just please bring her back. And I'd happily see another team fall into place. I don't feel like it needs to be Lucky. It doesn't need to be... I mean, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. I want podcast, but you can leave Trevor and Lucky at the door. I don't really give a shit about them.
No.
Get someone else. I don't know. I can't think. No names pop to my head, but yeah. Them two, definitely.
Give it a few years and...
Yeah, but they have the bond anyway. They are friends, whereas like you don't need the brother and the love interest. Yeah, it's like they're the unit, them two. So build around them.
We kind of had two films this year that have completely wiped the slate clean almost to start again.
Yeah.
They've incinerated James Bond. Spoiler warning.
Another spoiler there,
right? So they have no.
Restrictions.
No restrictions yet as to where to take that character or that film franchise from now on. They vaporised Craig's Bond. Move on.
Yeah.
They've done the same with Ghostbusters. They've left it so open-ended that we've got everything we need for sequels, whether they have the cast from this film or not. Just like Rich said, keep Ernie Hudson, maybe Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray can do whatever the fuck Bill Murray wants to do.
Yeah.
We do need Peter Venkman, but we also don't need all that baggage that he brings with it. It's just like that whole.
It'll be nice to see him again, but like you say, they could make a perfectly good Ghostbusters film without him. And I think the fans, as butthurt as they'll be, would embrace it. And although it's nice that they've done this film and they've kind of merged the new with the old. And you've kind of had that passing of the torch, I guess, in Afterlife, to move on to a new generation of Ghostbusters. And I don't think we necessarily need to see the old, the majority of them. I mean, obviously, they've kind of set up for Winston to be a continuation part of a sequel.
Oh, I'm so happy about that.
But that's fine. You still got that slight connection to the old Ghostbusters, but do we need to see the others again now?
No, I think only Hudson would be... that guy, like, I don't know what it is about the charisma that comes onto the screen with some actors. He's just got that charisma. He's got the same charisma and energy that 1980s Eddie Murphy had.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see. And he's not lost it. He turns up and he says yes to all his conventions appearances and yes to all his like silly little gatherings and like Ghostbusters fan meetups and stuff. And he's never been distant from the franchise. He embraces it because it made him what he is. And it's lovely.
Yeah.
That he comes back, and I would love to see him be the guy with Janine, who are the two CEOs of this
Ghostbusters.
this new Ghostbusters venture, and I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And Ray can be that character that has all the information.
But like I say, I mean, do they really need Ray? I mean, we've got Phoebe.
Well, no.
And we've got Podcast.
Ray would be a perfect, like we said earlier, exposition dump. Ray runs a bookshop, but also has a hand in helping the Ghostbusters do the research. They could go full on.
It could be something they go to.
Yeah,
if they need.
They could go full on old school with Ray's occult books. He's got books in there that like are probably thousands of years old, right? That would be an amazing concept. And if anyone steals this concept, you can get fucked.
You can create a really nice, rich world with this. I really like the idea of it.
Yeah, so you could have these guys coming in and going, right, so we've just encountered this spirit or this demon or whatever, and Ray comes in and says, well, this is this guy, and slams a massive, like, tablet of a book on the table. Boom.
You're making him sound like Giles from Buffy.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, Jason. But, just thumbs through this book and slams his finger down and says, this is the guy you need and this is what you need to do. It'll be a great idea. Now I've thought about it, that's kind of the concept of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But think about that. What you could do with that.
Yeah. Would you keep some kind of connection to Egon in it as well? I mean, I wouldn't do the whole spirit thing now, have the Uncanny Valley thing, but
that's been done.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any kind of scenes at all where you might just communicate with Phoebe, like through moving things, like
I
kind of
think that
I don't know.
I think it's been done. I think you see him ascend.
Rest in peace.
You see him ascend or disappear. He's at peace.
He did, didn't he? Yeah,
and
kind of on screen.
I think it'll be nice, like when film series will have a picture on the wall in the background.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Just out of focus.
Yeah, just something like that, a framed picture of him or something.
Yeah.
Or...
Like for instance, prime example, No Time to Die had 2 oil paintings of previous actors who have played M on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
In a very quick blink and you miss it, you had Robert Brown's M from the Roger Moore Dalton era, and then you had Judi Dench. Just out of focus in the background for literally a second.
They weren't made by tens of Sean Connery, like in a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, massive. And it's not even just, it's a publicity shot from another film. It's like...
But it's also Getty Images watermarked in the bottom corner of it.
Yeah, it's like Google search Sean Connery. That'll do. I can't remember what it's a shot from. I can't remember what it's a shot from. But yeah, it's like no one takes photos like that in the 40s.
A picture from Thunderball.
I know,
or
sorry, in the 30s. It's like Christ.
It's a publicity shot for Medicine Man or something. Really great.
Oh God. It's like in Ghostbusters 2016. Yes. It has its fans. It has its non-fans. It has its neutral fans.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of on the neutral side.
Me too.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But Kate McKinnon, come on guys, I could just watch 2 hours of her improv.
I'm literally looking at. We've got my Funko Pop figure over on my shelf right now, so and my action figure from Hasbro. Yeah. So I'm not obsessed, honest.
The Holston Pop's actually up on my shelf as well, but just. When you watch the improv on the Blu-ray and on YouTube, that girl is phenomenal.
See, I think I think I need to give this film another chance because I've watched it once and I thought it was shit, and then I walked away.
Jason, what you want to do? You want to watch the B-roll footage of Kate McKinnon's improv. Just YouTube it up. There's 12 minutes alone of her hanging on the window ledge. of improv lines. 12 minutes of that scene where she's on that window ledge of improving different things to say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
then
pretty
watch
cool.
that film and ignore Melissa McCarthy. Yes, she's talented, but just ignore her. And just watch Kristen Wiig and Kate McKinnon.
Mm. Okay, I will.
But it's with the whole was it Rowan thing? It does play like an episode of Real Ghostbusters to me. That's why they treat it like it. If you treat it that way, if you look at it through that lens, it's perfectly inoffensive. It's I don't know. Paul Feig is a weird one. I can't quite get my. I don't know quite where I stand with how he does films. Stuff's good.
When it was first announced, I mean, I was one of them, and I'm not sure if you were as well, Rich. It's just oh God, here we go.
I was
woke culture is coming, and you're like, oh.
Nah, I've never been like that, I was very neutral.
I mean, in a way of not so much it was woke. I mean, in a way of there are certain films you don't touch to remake.
Yeah.
There are certain.
That's fair.
There are certain lightning in a bottle moments that you just don't go near.
Sure.
Ghostbusters is one of them. Jurassic Park is another.
Yeah,
Back to the Future.
I was going to say, if you ever go back to the Future, I'm going to personally go to America and slap the people in the face myself.
Yeah, Ghostbusters worked because of chemistry. Because these people knew each other from years before. It worked on a personal, intimate level. It just happened. And when you try and manufacture that, it doesn't quite land as well as it should. It lands awkwardly and it lands forced and stiff, and that's exactly what happened with 2016. And it has happened with lots of, you could say, bands. You can look at manufactured bands, and yes, they have 20 or 10 years worth of riches and fortune and hit after hit after hit. But then you look at bands like, say, Queen or The Who, and you're like, or Def Leppard, and you're like, these guys have known each other for years. They have so much history together that they just get on stage and just perfectly work together.
Well, I did like that last. I did like the last Boyzone video where the ghost Stephen Gately appears at the end and helps out. You know, sorry.
I always rely on you, Rich. Always rely on you, mate.
About time you showed up. That's what Brendan Keaton said. Sorry. What about time? I can't do the voice now, so I was going to do a Brendan Keaton voice. But
you were going to do a Brendan Keaton voice, so you started now. You got to finish it.
I can't do it.
Shame.
It's a little like Sean Connery or something.
Okay.
I can't do it though. It's not working.
I'll tell you what, get yourself up for your final comment. Maybe you could put it off then.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll practice it in the background while you guys talk away.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it for this show. I guess there's just one more question I want to ask you two. And I mean, was there looking back at the whole film of Afterlife? I mean, was there a particular scene that you look back and think that was your favourite part of the film? Or was there too many favourite parts?
That's kind of difficult to call.
So I could look at it as the big grin in my face, or I could look at it as the I'm sobbing my eyes out.
Yeah.
I love my childhood. There's different criteria for what I like the most. Man. I kind of do want to say the moment we see Egon appear and he steadies Phoebe's proton stream and helps her, I was just like a wreck at that moment. And it just, it got the absolute desired response from me, and it was done so tastefully and nice, and it just was flat out beautiful. I probably would say that scene.
It wasn't
really
overhandled either.
Yeah.
You can have scenes like that where the ghosts may as well just go and sit and have tea and sandwiches and chat about the old times. You know, when something's just so overcooked that you're just like, what? Yeah, it's just greatly done. I can't really pinpoint a favourite scene. I mean, obviously it's going to be probably with the old guys or Egon or even the end scene, really, where you see that it's starting up again, so it's not ended.
Yeah.
You got this lovely carry-on thing, and whether do anything vegan in the next one is another thing. But do you know what I like the best out of the whole film? Is probably this very subtle "We forgive you" from Bill Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no secret, obviously, those guys fell out when they were doing a couple of films together in the late 80s, early 90s.
Was it Groundhog Day, wasn't it?
I think it was Groundhog Day.
Well, they literally reconciled, didn't they? Right as Harold Ramis was.
It was literally
his deathbed, wasn't it?
A week before Harold died, maybe a
Yeah.
month. I can't remember.
I mean, shit.
Where Bill Murray was seen coming out of Harold Ramis's Manhattan apartment building, and then it was just like years and years of feuding, and just they both fell out. I think they both had so many different styles going on, or they wanted so many different things that they just fell out as filmmakers and actors and producers that it never mended itself, and it's such a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had the video game in between that fallout, and obviously the guys are recording separately in recording studios, but it would have been nice to have them all in the same studio and bounce off each other.
Yeah.
But you can even see how kind of ill Harold was when he did these interviews for the video game. He was talking about going back and talking and stuff like that. And then it was just such a sad story where he just died very, very slowly, and Bill made amends. And this lovely little moment of Bill Murray forgiving Harold Ramis on screen was worth the 2 hour wait, just to see that lovely little subtle "I respect you." That was a great little touch. Even though Harold wasn't there, it was just a nice touch from Bill Murray to do that, and it just landed so beautifully.
That was perfect, lovely to look at in. To see that and just look at it in that way. Yeah, just a perfect, nice scene, mate. Good choice. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. You are all wonderful people for doing so. If you want to hear more of me and Rich, then you can catch us over at the Dreamcast Years podcast, and I can also be found hosting the playlist podcast for the Cross Players. You can find them on Twitter at Dreamcast Years and at the Cross Players. You can find a Linktree link in the show notes, which has all our links, including our website, Twitter handles, and more. Speaking of the website, our brand new redesigned website will be going live over the weekend of the 18th of December. Lovingly created by our very own Tristan. I can't wait for you all to see it, and I think Tristan deserves a big round of applause for all the hard work he has put into it. So let's give him a
well done.
There's even an error page that he's put onto our website that he said that 99% of people probably won't even see. But it's a beautiful error page where he's put like an old school TV, and like it just plays like a random GIF from like 90s TV shows or films.
Awesome.
Like the example he gave me was with Odo from DS9 on there with one GIF or another. I can't remember what it was now, but he's done a great job on it, and we really appreciate the work that he's put into it. So look out on Twitter when it actually goes live. I'll stick a tweet out just so you can go and check it out. Final words, guys, before we leave.
I can't fucking do it. Sorry. It's going to end up getting something offensive, and it won't be for Irish people, as you said. I'm not going to try.
Down with this sort of...
No. That's what I've got. I can't do it.
Just think you're talking Father Ted.
I wonder when it'll show up. There you go. That'll do.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Beat that, Chris.
I'm sure you could.
Oh god.
I'm going to do a spark post of I'll do a spark post of that scene later.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
I'll just give him a nice blue filter and have him floating off into the sky. And much like Egon in the last bit, he said it best when he said nothing at all. So.
Yeah, Rich, that was a work of art. Did that just come to you?
That popped right in my head.
They pay people thousands an hour to come up with that stuff. Oh my god.
Well, I think we should leave it there.
Last words from me, I don't know, Jason Reitman, you magnificent bastard.
That's beautiful, mate.
Rest in peace, Harold Ramis. We love you and we miss you every goddamn day.
Exactly.
And to everyone on the production crew, you pulled off a good show.
Yep, absolutely. I can't wait to sit down and watch it at home.
And
so,
Gozer the Gazarian, call me.
Yeah.
Now that I know.
I see your reaction live on mic. What? What? Yes.
Beautiful. Well, my name's been Jason, and you've been listening to What's Wrong with Wolfie, a 90s podcast to the max. We'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Hey Janelle, what's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking.